Hello, and thank you for being here. Welcome to my channel. My name is Chrissy Hodges, advocate for OCD, particularly pure OCD, which is also happens to be the name of my memoir. Yay! This talks about what I went through in dealing with OCD all the way up to treatment. I am a certified peer support specialist working with people worldwide to provide support as they are working toward recovery for OCD. And I also do referral consultations to help connect you to therapists wherever you are in the world that can help you get the proper treatment for OCD and move toward recovery. I'm also the executive director and founder of OCD Game Changers. And right now, this video is in September 2022, and we are doing events in the UK and Spain coming up in October. So visit OCDGameChangers.com to find out more if you want to join us. Tickets are on sale now for the UK, and will be on sale for Spain next week. And if you're looking for peer support groups, I run 8-week closed peer support groups for people, and some are theme oriented, others are just intrusive thoughts in general. So please head over to my website for that, or to look for peer support or a referral consultation at ChrissyHodges.com. OCD is a treatment provider, and they do telehealth for OCD, doing ERP in many different countries. They're also an app where you can go on the forums and find other people who live with OCD and interact, and also do teletherapy if you're ready for that. Head on over to treatmyocd.com for more information. So today I just wanted to talk a little bit about, I just wanted to share some stuff about my own lived experience, but also to kind of make a point about how we inadvertently give OCD control by viewing our life on the lens of whether OCD is part of our life right now or not. So things are good right now because OCD is not around. Things are bad because OCD is bad. When we do that, we give OCD all of the control. And I just wanted to share with you kind of a real life example of how this played out. And this would be my life. So in the last year, I recognized, I'm still getting over COVID because it sucks. In the last year, or the last couple weeks, I recognized that I have been in my new house for almost a year. I bought this house a year ago. My ex-husband and I separated and got a divorce, and I made a bold move and bought a house in a very high up country area where I know no one, in an area I'm unfamiliar with, and that is a big change in life, okay? And all of us go through big changes in life. All of us go through loss. All of us go through things that just life brings to us. And OCD tends to latch onto these big changes sometimes. And then all of a sudden our life becomes, oh my goodness, OCD is bad and life is bad. But is life bad because of OCD, or is life bad because of stressors? Now, I also want to recognize, man, OCD sucks. So when OCD gets bad, shit can get real quick and you can suffer. So I'm not saying that you're not. But sometimes it's really important to see the distinction of, is all of life about OCD and dictated by it, or is life just life? And OCD sometimes gets exacerbated because things in life get tough. We hear all the time, things change, loss, stress, things like that make OCD worse. Okay, but these are part of life. This is stuff that we have to, there's a fruit fly. It's been driving me nuts all night. So if I swat at it, just ignore me. If we go through life thinking that, OCD is going to make everything worse, and OCD happens and then life is unbearable, we're forgetting that we have a disorder that is going to come alongside us at every stage of life. So when I reflect back on the last year, this has been a really, really hard year. And my default is to want to say, this has been a bad year because I've had several OCD spikes, some that have been really acute, and have challenged me in ways I haven't been challenged in a really long time. So I could easily, by default, say, this last year has been bad because of OCD. This last year has been really challenging because I've gone through a lot of change and I'm in new territory, and I've had loss in my life, friendships, and I've had to grieve those friendships that have been devastating. Is that OCD? No, but OCD comes alongside that and makes those things worse. Getting a divorce has been really hard. Moving to a new place has been hard. These are big life challenges. I'm in grad school, which has been really hard to navigate. These are big life challenges that a lot of people go through, and it makes life challenging and difficult. And OCD comes in at certain periods or at certain times and has either triggered me, or it's been acute, or it's not been, and it's just been this drag or whatever. And I can easily just say this life sucks because of OCD, but no, life is life. Now, I also want to say that I'm not just making this trivial. I'm not saying that life with OCD can be easy and we just need to separate the two and everything is fine. That's not what I'm saying either. But I think that the important distinction that I'm trying to make here is this. For many years after effective treatment, I would also gauge different times of life on whether things were good or bad because of the presence of OCD. What I didn't realize is I was giving OCD every ounce of control it was demanding. Okay, so if I stay with that logic, then in whatever tricks OCD decides to pull for years on end, that means my life has been wasted to OCD for however long I am engaging in that and haven't gotten control or am managing it correctly. So basically what I'm saying is life is either good or bad based on whether OCD is there or not. But what if OCD is there all the time? Meaning this is a part of the brain that is impacted by OCD. When you get effective treatment for that, it doesn't cure the part of the brain that's impacted, which is the amygdala. It teaches you how to interact with the amygdala differently so you get a different outcome. Okay? You don't cure diabetes type 1. What you do is you do treatment and you do all of the evidence-based effective treatment areas that can help reduce the symptoms and help you live an effective life. Or a great life. Or a productive life, whatever we want to call it. I mean, because life is hard. Let's just fucking face it. Life is hard. Life is difficult. Life is extra difficult when you have a mental illness on top of it. It's also extra difficult with diabetes 1. But it's important to understand that when we put the leash around our neck, or the collar around our neck and give the leash to OCD and say, when you show up, my life is awful. When you're gone, oh, things are good. You're giving OCD all the control. So in the grander scheme and the grand outlook of looking at recovery from OCD, it's just another layer of not understanding that anticipating that OCD is going to be part of your life is the key to recovery. Okay, I mean, whatever. You might come on here and be like, whatever, so-and-so says they're free of OCD and fuck off, Chrissy. I mean, fine. That's fine. And that doesn't mean that we can't every single day strive to be symptom-free. Of course we can do that, right? But ignoring the fact and the idea that OCD isn't going to come alongside us when we are dealing with major life stressors is just irresponsible in looking through a recovery lens. We have to see that possibility exists, because when we don't, that's when we're not looking for OCD to show up and then be aware and know that it's there in order to take steps to manage it. That's recovery. Recovery is not, I've mastered it and I'm good to go for the rest of my life. I mean, maybe it is, but I rarely meet people that master it once and it never comes back, unless they are practicing massive awareness every single day of compulsions and things that can trigger them, which you can absolutely do. But the best way to look at this is this. You go to, if you're struggling with a physical ailment like heart disease, you go in and you get the symptoms treated, but you have to treat some of the things that are underlying, right? And if you don't look at some of those things and you don't see that now there's a possibility that heart disease is going to be part of your life, the rest of your life. So you have to take things into consideration in order to make sure that it doesn't come back in and put you in a bad position. This is the same thing that we do with OCD. So lastly, I just want to say this. One of the reasons why we avoid this is because we have not faced or do not want to face the degree of suffering or trauma we have experienced around the big episode or the first episode or the accumulation of all the episodes of OCD. Because having OCD is traumatic. I do not care what anyone else says. People will say that it's not, and they're idiots. But that's mean, and don't quote me on that. Or you can, and I'll defend myself. But it's because they're not willing to combine mental illness and trauma because of the treatment aspect most of the time. But the experience of having OCD can be very traumatic for so many of us. And there's so many, there are so many traps that you can fall in that can create trauma. So sometimes when we come out of that, or if we're having a good year or good however long, or if we get treatment and we think everything's going to be good, then the fear then becomes, I am scared I'm going to go back to that time I suffered so badly and deeply. And it was so scary to be at rock bottom or to not know what was going on. Here's the deal, and I'm going to say this as reassurancy as it is. You made it through. Or if you're there right now, you're making it through. You're here at this video, meaning you have hope because you're seeking information, you're seeking validation, and you're seeking out people that have made it out of the depths. So if you're there, you are okay and you can climb out. There is a way, there is light. And if you have been there and the fear is, I'm going to go back to that, that is an absolutely legitimate fear. It was scary for you. You didn't think there was a way out. It was a degree of suffering you did not know existed. But you made it out. Okay? And you are creating all the tools that you can right now to not get to that point again. I know. I almost died by suicide 20 years ago. So I know how bad it can get. I know how scary it can get. I feel scared of getting to that point again. But then I just have to think to myself, look, I had the strength, I had the resilience. At one point, I made it through. Thank goodness. I can do it again. And now I'm going to build the building blocks over the rock bottom so I don't slide all the way down. And that's why you're here, okay? That's what you're looking for. You're looking to know that you're not alone. You're looking to know that you can deal with this and you can manage this. So finally, here's the thing. We are all in this together, okay? We all live with OCD. If you're here, you're living with OCD or you have a loved one that has OCD. It is tough at times. It does feel like the only thing that's making everything worse I want to distinguish that OCD is hard to live with, but life can be hard. And if we are attributing every part of our life, whether it's good, that means OCD is good, or bad, that means OCD is bad, you're still giving OCD control. Life is difficult at times, like I shared with you, and I wanted to share that with you. This has been a hard year for me. And when OCD has shown up, I was ready for it. It did like knock me a little, like to the degree that it showed up. I was not expecting some of those themes, but it did show up, but I am not surprised. And I certainly don't look back on this year and say, this year sucked because I had OCD. Yeah, it did suck because OCD was there, but it was a hard year. And life can get hard. And it is okay to look at it that way and say, OCD did come alongside, but I'm not giving OCD the power of saying that it was bad because of OCD always. Understand what I'm saying. Things can get bad because of OCD. I'm not saying that they can't. But when we get into the mindset that they are good because OCD isn't there and they're bad because it is, that's when OCD is still ruling us. Treatment works. Treatment can help. Exposure response prevention is evidence-based treatment, acceptance commitment therapy with that as well. Reach out to me if you're looking for referral consultation or peer support, or if you're interested in my 8-week peer groups. But thanks for listening, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye.